16th of December 1944. Germany marches west once again. Hitler has committed 3 armies to a major offensive through the Ardennes sector of Belgium and Luxembourg, striking a thinly held sector of the US front line. The operation, codenamed Herbstnebel or Autumn Mist, the objective, the Belgian port of Antwerp, a major Allied supply base. If the Germans can cross the Meuse River and break out into good tank country beyond and seize Antwerp, they will divide the Allies in northwestern Europe and precipitate a major Allied supply crisis that could halt further Allied advances on the German frontier. Surprise is the critical factor to ensure German success, and Hitler relies on bad winter weather to cloak his advancing armies from the overwhelming Allied air power, but he also orders a series of special operations mounted to assist the advance.
Zur Überraschung der Feindseite treten in den Morgenstunden des 16. Dezember starke deutsche Kräfte aus dem Westwall heraus zu einem völlig unerwarteten Angriff an. V1 und die Feuergeschosse der Nebelwerfer bringen plötzlich Vernichtung in und hinter die feindlichen Linien. Hunderte von Batterien aller Kaliber tragen den Tod in den Feind. Sturmgeschütze und Panzer sind in kraftvollem Vorstoß in die vom Feinde besetzten Dörfer eingedrungen.
To assist the advancing German columns to quickly seize important bridges and crossroads through the difficult Ardennes terrain, special missions are ordered. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Play more than 2,000 tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships in dynamic combined arms PvP battles. As an historian, I appreciate that the vehicles in War Thunder span over 100 years of development, from the 1920s to the present day. Every vehicle is incredibly detailed and modelled. War Thunder now has an all-new mobile version available on iOS and Android, allowing you to take the battlefield wherever you go. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation, Xbox and mobile devices using the links in the video description or pinned comment. New players and those who haven't played in 6 months receive a large bonus free pack for PC and consoles using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters and much more. Many of you are familiar with SS Obersturmbannführer Otto Skorzeni's Panzer Brigade 150 of disguised German tanks dressed up as Allied armour to try and bluff their way forward. His English-speaking commandos of Einheit Stielau to sow confusion behind enemy lines by cutting telephone lines, killing messengers, misdirecting American units, and sabotaging military equipment. The commandos are actually quite successful and manage to sow confusion and distrust behind the Allied lines, slowing the US response to the huge German assault that sees over 400,000 troops and 1,400 tanks and armoured fighting vehicles committed to the offensive. The third operation I've also covered before on this channel, Operation Stösser, the last significant German parachute drop of the war, when 1,300 Luftwaffe Fallschirmjägers are dropped on the 17th of December to seize important crossroads at Belle-Croix-Jalais, where 2 major US supply routes cross, and hold it for the advancing 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend. But in my search to bring you unknown information about the Battle of the Bulge, I have found out that Stösser was not the only German parachute operation during the Ardennes Offensive. It was carefully supported by at least 2 other parachute drops which people know absolutely nothing about. The code name for these drops was Spielzeug. The Germans appear to have looked to D-Day for inspiration for Spielzeug, and to a particular aspect of the Allied airborne landings that were quite successful. Operation Titanic were a series of military deceptions carried out by the Royal Air Force and the Special Air Service Regiment, the SAS, designed to cover the Allied landings in Normandy on the 6th of June 1944. Titanic included the dropping of hundreds of fake paratroopers onto a series of designated drop zones to confuse the defending Germans, as the real British, US, and Canadian paratroopers landed on their real drop zones elsewhere. In total, 400 dummy paratroopers, accompanied by a small number of SAS troops, parachuted into 4 drop zones to draw the Germans away from the real landing zones. Each fake paratrooper was in fact a stuffed Hessian sack shaped like a man and fitted to a simple white parachute. Coming down at night, it would have been impossible to differentiate between real paratroopers and dummies. Many were also fitted with simulators that mimic gunfire once they landed, or fired off flares to simulate officers signaling units. Some also had sound-generating equipment that could broadcast the sounds of soldiers and equipment moving about. The overall effect was fantastic and caused serious confusion among defending German forces. The Germans apparently remembered these British tricks when it came to Operation Stösser. The decision was taken to support the real paratroop landing with at least 2 dummy parachute drops to sow confusion and panic among the already jittery American forward troops. Operation Stösser failed miserably due to inexperienced aircrew and poor navigation, with only about 300 of the 1,300 or so paratroopers actually coalescing around the crossroads, but too few in number and with insufficient weapons and ammunition to take and hold the assigned crossroads from the Americans. Instead, the German paratroopers set themselves up in woods nearby, determined to launch a swift assault on the objective once the first tanks of the 12th SS Panzer Division actually arrived, something which would never happen due to strong American resistance facing this unit. However, Stösser was successful in one important regard. The drop was so dispersed that the Americans thought it likely that an entire German airborne division had been dropped behind their lines, and an entire infantry regiment of 3,000 men, supported by up to 300 tanks, spent many days rooting out isolated groups of paratroopers, these US forces sorely needed at the front. On the night of the 18th of December, an attempt was made to resupply the Operation Stösser force at the main drop zone. A lone Luftwaffe Junkers Ju-88 bomber flew over and dropped by parachute a number of special containers packed with food, ammunition, and medical supplies, but the Germans were only able to recover a handful of these containers. However, the scattered Stösser drop and the reaction of the US command, diverting large numbers of men and equipment to deal with these paratroopers, convinced the Germans that further drops would assist the offensive. Operation Spielzeug was thus activated. German paratroopers had dropped near the Ardennes from Junkers Ju-52 trimotor transport aircraft, but Spielzeug employed Heinkel He-111s of Transport Group 30. On the 19th of December, the order was given for another resupply mission to the beleaguered Stösser force, which had lost all communication with headquarters. 7 Heinkel 111s were assigned to this task, which was marked with the utmost priority. They were ordered to drop supply canisters in a wood 6 kilometers south of Eupen. One radio was also to be dropped to the ground forces. Red ground markers and white sky signals would mark the drop zone for the oncoming aircraft. However, at 7:15 p.m., the target location was changed to 3.5 kilometers south of Verviers. Though this operation included a supply drop, it has been surmised that the heavy illumination of the drop zone, in comparison with the more discreet initial Operation Stösser drop on the 17th of December, was designed to look like a real parachute drop, and that dummy parachutists were dropped alongside some of the supply canisters near Verviers. That was the conclusion of RAF Air Intelligence on reading the signals traffic 3 days later. The RAF thought a dummy parachute drop was the real operation, with the supply mission cover. In the meantime, a real parachute supply drop was made to another cut-off German unit, Kampfgruppe Piper, the armoured spearhead of the 1st SS Panzer Division that was surrounded at the village of La Glise and desperately needed fuel and ammunition for a breakout attempt. On the 22nd of December at 8 p.m., 20-plus Junkers 52s flew near La Glaise and began dropping supply canisters. Surrounding U.S. forces reported up the chain of command that a parachute landing was underway, the white parachutes blossoming in the sky that was simultaneously being filled by white signal flares fired by Piper's men. It was only at 9:30 p.m., an hour and a half later, that the Americans confirmed that only supplies had been dropped to Piper and not paratroopers, with around 90% of the containers falling into US-controlled areas, with Piper receiving less than 10%. However, Operation Spielzeug was not over yet. As the German armor and infantry continued to battle forward all across the Ardennes against stiffening US resistance, another dummy parachute landing was planned. At 5 p.m. on the 23rd of December, Transport Group 30 was ordered to drop dummy paratroopers in wooded country 3 kilometers southwest of Perpinster, west of Verviers, at 10:30 p.m. Kampfgeschwader 66 was ordered to make repeated flights in to provide strong and obvious illumination over the drop zone from 10 to 10:45 p.m. to mislead US forces that a major German parachute operation was underway. 12 Heinkel 111s successfully conducted this mission, scattering dummies widely as ordered. However, by now RAF Air Intelligence had already worked out that this transport unit was equipped with the Heinkel 111, not Junkers 52s, and therefore wouldn't be used to drop real paratroopers in any serious numbers. And the German code name for the mission gave it away. Spielzeug, which in English means toy, a rather stupid choice by the Germans given the nature of what they were dropping, child-sized pretend paratroopers. As for the real German Fallschirmjägers dropped during Operation Stösser, they had already made their way back to German lines on the 19th of December. However, many of them, including their commanding officer, were captured before reaching safety. Many also died out in the woods, some from landing accidents, and their bodies continued to be found right up until the 1970s. So were Operations Stösser and Spielzeug successful? Only partially, in that these scattered parachute drops did cause the Americans to divert forces away from the front to hunt down and destroy what they believed to be large numbers of well-organized paratroopers behind their lines. It also shows that German aircraft were more active than previously thought in the first days of the Ardennes Offensive. But Spielzeug was almost completely absent from the history books about the Battle of the Bulge, that is, until now. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation, Xbox and mobile devices using the links below. New and returning players will receive a large free bonus pack on PC and consoles using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters and much more. War Thunder, get it now! Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.